Lurch?
Yeah.
It is the season.
It is a season, yeah.
It is. And
isn't it always a season anymore?
You have addictions.
Don't we all?
Yes,
okay.
It's true.
Some people are addicted to food. Some people are addicted to cocaine. I mean,
Right. Some, like you, are addicted to wieners. But each to their own. There's nothing wrong with that. So, anyways, you're right. We do have proper addictions. I believe one of yours, we share this addiction.
Okay.
And it is the season for pumpkin spice.
I have
venti.
Yeah.
Cold brews, dude.
I did a hot one today.
You did?
And
it's got the Christmas cup.
Yeah, I was at Safeway, which I know, true Starbucks people don't go to Safeway Starbucks because those aren't Starbucks employees.
They aren't
Safeway employees. But
right.
Sometimes, and the truth is the Safeway I went to this morning on the way here is right next to a Starbucks. But just to get it all done in one stop, I just went in Safeway and ordered this. But I went with
if you get the regular drinks, it's fine.
Yeah.
They're pretty decent. You can't get cold brews, though.
She asked, well,
did she? A lot of the Safeway ones, you can't get the cold brews.
They probably don't have the cold brew. They can do an iced coffee.
Right. So not the same.
No, it's not. So I decided.
You went hot?
I went hot because it's kind of drizzly and it's not really cold today. But it's cloudy. It's drizzly. It's just kind of crappy outside. I felt like I needed a hot coffee. I hadn't had a hot coffee.
A little comfort hot coffee.
Yeah, in a while.
Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. But you did get me hooked onto the pumpkin spice. I used to tease people that drink it. And I thought that was, kind of weak to be drinking pumpkin spice. And then I tried it.
It's like crack cocaine.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Now I understand it. It's one of those things that you don't understand until you try it.
Have you gotten to the point where you lick the bottom of the lid?
Oh, absolutely. That's the best part.
Dude. Oh, the foam gets stuck to the top of the lid, dude. Oh, delicious.
And I can actually make it
Makes my
at
life
home
single.
now. Angela got me some of the Starbucks pumpkin spice K-cups, and then she's a Pampered Chef fanatic, so she's got this Pampered Chef
not a sponsor
foamer, so you can put some cream in there and make a cold foam or hot foam and put that on top of your coffee. It really adds a nice touch.
Nice. Is it the same, though? Is it as good as a cold brew at the Starbucks?
No.
Home coffees are good.
Yeah. I'm sitting in my pajamas after I got up,
right.
I'm making my own coffee. I didn't have to go anywhere. So is it as good?
I need to.
Not quite, but it's good.
But it's good.
It's good.
I need to get this thing.
Oh, yeah.
This foamy thing.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Okay. All right. I'm going to talk to you after the podcast about that.
I'll send you a link.
Well, I'm glad you like pumpkin spice. And if you like it that much, I need you to do something for a second.
Oh, Lord, what?
I need you to just in a moment, take your headphones off. And just, you'll have to get up and come over here by my desk.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Hang on. And I'm going to bend over and I want you to stick your nose in my ass. Okay.
I don't understand.
Because you like pumpkin spice that much.
I do, but not
my
enough
ass
to put my
smells like pumpkin spice right now.
Why would your ass smell like pumpkin spice?
Well, because we are so addicted to pumpkin spice that I not only want it in my mouth, I want it in my ass. And the way I got it in my ass this morning was...
You're so fucking juvenile. How did you get pumpkin spice in your ass?
Well, I used the old pumpkin spice seasonal dude wipes.
Oh, the dumpkin spice.
Legit. Dumpkin spice, dude. Yeah. Oh, they are freaking legit, guys. And
I have to admit, I have used them, and I was sold just on the mint because it's like a breath mint for your ass. It just give you a nice little cool kiss.
They're good all around.
But man, the dumpkin spice is
I didn't know I was going to like it.
I know. I don't know what it is. They seem like they got a little bit more moisture in them, or maybe just the pack of mint we had was been open for a while. I don't know. But those fresh dumpkin spice, they were nice and left me smelling delightful.
And you feel like you're in the season.
Yeah.
Some people wear sweaters, Christmas sweaters. Some people wore fall sweaters. I use dumpkin spice in my ass. That makes me feel seasonal. I can share it with everybody. I'm willing to share it with you right now.
For the record, get over your ass, not in your ass.
No, it's in my ass.
Are you sticking it up your butt?
No,
you're just wiping
it's in between my cheeks.
Okay, I would say it's on your butt. Well,
that would be wiping the outside of your cheeks. This is inside the crack.
It's still outside your body.
Dude, once in a while you can still.
I think you might want to clarify how it's on and not in, but you can do you, man. Whatever.
Well, you can't. Sometimes you need to go in the hole just a little bit.
Too much info. Way too much info. People are tuning out right now.
Oh yeah, they tuned out as soon as we hit record, dude. That's what we do here. But seriously, folks, all jokes aside, the Dude wipes, we use them, highly recommend them. They're on my dirt bike for when I go riding in the mountains. I've got a few and I had to use them the 2 rides ago as a little backup. They're in my computer bag. We have them at the store on the back of the toilet, multiple different options to choose from. We have them here in the studio. And the Dumpkin Spice, guys, get hooked up. There is nothing better, whether you need, obviously after you take a deuce, but also just for a mid-afternoon spruce up.
Yeah, just clean the undercarriage. Courtesy wipe. Wife's coming home in about an hour. Yeah. You just never know where things might go. And just give yourself a quick little wipe.
That's right.
Yeah.
She might, want to go more if you smell like pumpkin spice.
You might not be able to get her away.
Especially if you get her addicted to the pumpkin spice cold brews.
And they make scented free, which I have the single scented frees that I keep in my backpack when I'm hunting, so that you're not walking around the woods smelling like pumpkin spice.
Right. True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Well, good to know. So guys, you can get them. We highly recommend them. We've been using them, you guys know, for years. You can get them over. This is not a joke. You want to support us, appreciate what we do. You can get them over at lawabidingbiker.com/fresh-butt. That's lawabidingbiker.com/fresh-butt. That's BUTT. And no additional cost to you. We do get a small commission if you click through and make a purchase. And a lot of people do, and we appreciate it.
There's currently a new scent on here called Dingle Bells.
Ooh.
With clove, balsam, and other jolly shit.
See? Okay.
3-pack. That's a new one. I hadn't seen that one before.
I'm going to get it because next time we record podcasts, I'm going to get 1 pack or 3 packs for the store. Because it is Christmas now. We're getting over the Dumpkin Spice, and it's time they're really marketing geniuses.
They did Dumpkin Spice a year or 2 ago, and we were talking about it when we went on to buy some. They were gone, sold out. And so they're definitely making Dumpkin Spice in a larger amount because they knew it was a seller. This Dingle Bells, I only see a little amount. So if they sell out, I bet you they'll go whole hog on the Dingle Bells next winter.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you that a moment ago, it did smell like pumpkin spice, dumpkin spice in my arse. But you know what it smells like right now?
No, what?
Dog ass.
Oh,
because he's
Louis over there farting.
He's queefing.
I'm glad he's on your side.
Dude,
usually on his. I know he stinks,
and he just took a dump.
Here. Well,
right before here.
Well, he apparently didn't get it all out.
He did not. It reeks. Lou, go over by Lurch.
No, you stay over there.
I think at some point are we podcast? We are podcasting.
I think we are. I hope you've been recording.
Wait, this is an email, and this is something you threw in there, so why don't you give it a shot?
Yay! I got mail! Yay!
It's a quick one, but I just wanted to put it out there because I appreciate when people take the time to share their appreciation of what we're doing. This is from Brian Hilly. He's an Illinois law enforcement officer, and he says, I just want to thank you for your customer service and quick delivery of my Anthem Pro adjustable levers for my 2022 Road Glide. They are fantastic. We're heading out from Illinois to Glacier National Park and the surrounding areas this week.
Okay. Very nice. Thanks, Brian. lawabidingbiker.com/contact. He left over there, and we appreciate that. We want to hear from you. And you can also write over on that page, leave a voicemail. Right from your phone, if you go to our contact form. And you can also use your computer microphone. It is free to leave a voicemail over there. Again, it's all over at lawabidingbiker.com/contact. And again, we really appreciate it, and we want to hear from you all. Want to ride longer?
You know it.
Tired of a sore and achy ass? Then fix it. Bikeaholics with a high-quality butt buffer seat cushion. As you know, you can head right over to lawabidingbiker.com/store. That's the Law Abiding Biker store. And check out our full line of butt buffer seat cushions. We are going into the holidays. This is, in my opinion, get them now, guys. We are very good at keeping them in stock, but I know during the holiday seasons last year, we moved them, and we're going to be moving them this holiday season. Get them earlier than later. Get your Christmas shopping done ahead of time. Of course, lots of things over in the Law Abiding Biker store for you, but this is a little gem, and what a gift it is, because not only is it a gift, a meaningful gift of something very useful, but it also could save your life and or the life of a friend. And at least if there is an injury, which can happen, it's going to make it at least a little bit better. All right. So we all know that unexpected things can happen when riding motorcycles, whether that's street dirt or adventure. Many of us prepare for a mechanical issue with our cruise tools, roadside emergency repair kits from the Law Abiding Biker store. That is essential, very important, but more serious than a motorcycle breakdown. Oftentimes we just don't think of this, but it's an injury to you or someone you are riding with. Now, why would you want to risk not being prepared for that, Bikeaholics? Ask yourself that question. We were guilty in the past of not being prepared for a medical emergency. And that's why we brought the Law Abiding Biker First Aid and Trauma Kit to our store at a very affordable price. So we've given you no reason not to be prepared with a small and easy stowable biker prepared first aid kit. Again, what a wonderful gift. We often have times, guys, Lurch knows, we'll have like groups, like hog chapters, order many of them, or riding groups, or we'll get 10 at a time, 20 at a time. What a great way, because you're getting free shipping, right, Lurch? Over $100.
That's correct.
And you can get them for your whole group. You could all go in together on them and that kind of thing. And just a great gift for your loved one that is a biker or your friend. Now, we really thought this first aid kit out before we brought it to the store. We just wanted to make sure it had all the necessities. We really didn't want to overdo it. We wanted to keep it small because you can get out of hand too with size. We know there's limited room, obviously. So we came up with this awesome kit that comes with everything you need, such as a plethora of different size bandages, gauze, compression dressings, medical tape, latex gloves, whistle, scissors, rescue blanket, and most importantly, a military tourniquet that can save a life. We wanted a tourniquet in it because those are just essential and super easy to use. Take a couple minutes, practice. There's lots of videos. That's the one that could for sure save a life. Such a simple thing that saves many lives. All right. And all these items, like I said, are inside a very tightly packed tactical nylon MOLLE bag measuring 8x4x4. And best of all is that our design kit is biker approved because it has our name right on it on the outside of the kit. Lots of knockoffs all over Amazon and everything. They look similar, they are not. We sourced this one and we wanted to make sure that it had, again, what you needed and was the right size. It is for bikers. Now, this is not something you should have with you at all times, but a must-have at all times. Get the Law Abiding Biker First Aid and Trauma Kit right in the Law Abiding Biker store. And if you end up using it, if you're still alive, we know you will because it's a great kit, but it's the best kit. It's great. Please send it or send us a story about it. All right. Lurch is over there still chuckling about something that he wants to say.
Well, no, I was just laughing because you said we made it the perfect size because we know there's just not enough room. And I wanted to say that's what she said.
Oh, you should have, dude.
You were on a roll and I didn't want to interrupt you.
You should have jumped right in, dude. I would have interrupted you.
I know you would have.
You're so courteous. There you go, guys. It's a great gift. Hey, Bikeaholics, 03D has a wide variety of innovative products for your Harley-Davidson and a brand new line for the all-new Honda Goldwing named Gold Strike. Top quality, affordable chrome lighting and comfort products. Zero Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play system compatibility. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store. Check out our full line of 03D products. All right. I think we should do this thing, guys. Welcome back, you freaking Bikeaholics. This is the podcast for the motorcycle majority, the Big MM, also known as the
99%.
There you go. That's right. More than any time in history, large and in charge of the motorcycle scene. This entire community that we've built over almost 14 years now.
Oh my goodness.
The podcast, the YouTube channel. It is what we call a hashtag
Biker Revolution.
Now, we do have just one question before we get started. What are you waiting for, Bikeaholics?
Mount up and let us take you on another wild-ass ride.
There you go. Ryan Urlacher here, your host of the Law Abiding Biker Podcast, and your
high-tech redneck.
There you go. And in the house with me today, batch processing. Lurch and I, we got 3 we're recording today. We're going to do 1 live for our beloved patron members. Great episode for you. It's something you really need to listen to, and we're going to break it down for you. And it's a lot of motorcyclists just don't pay attention to this. And it's so important for rideability. It changes the geometry of your bike, and I can't believe how overlooked it is. So we're going to dive in to motorcycle suspension sag, what it is and how to adjust it, and some great tools that we use that make it super simple, and a tool that we're selling the heck out of so you can do it on your own. Take less than 2 minutes to check your sag and make sure you're within parameters, and maybe 5 if you need to make a few adjustments. But we are really going to break it down. Now, in the past, we've done an episode, I believe it was Oscar and I. It's been a few years. We've even learned more about it since then, and so this is going to be a very informational episode. If you don't know about suspension sag, you haven't checked yours, you're missing out, and it can actually be a safety issue too. So pay attention, and you'll learn a lot in this episode. We want to mention one of our new free videos that we put out. Lurch, what do you got here?
Well, this is just perfect because it's right on topic for what we're doing. It's called One Simple Adjustment That Transform Your Motorcycle. Set Your Sag, the ultimate guide. And the link to that video will be in the show notes.
There you go. And that video's been out for a while, got a lot of hits. So if you listen to this episode, obviously podcast, we have a lot more time with you. We can get even more in depth. The videos have to be right on cue to keep people's attention these days on YouTube. You got to be just very snappy and succinct with stuff. But it is a great video, and if you want to get some visuals on what we're talking about, that video, I can't recommend it enough. Go over there after you listen to the podcast, and whatever you learned here will tie everything together when you get some visuals on it over there on the Law Abiding Biker YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon over there, please. It's free. It helps us a lot. We're at like close to 250,000 subscribers now, and we appreciate all the support over there. But please, it doesn't cost you anything. It's easy. You hit the subscribe button, and it helps us out, and the bell icon so you're notified when we come out with new free videos. So definitely hit that video up and check it out. Now, we love our sponsors. We already noted up front, but these folks are also the reason we're still coming to you after 14 years, guys, and getting close to 14 years. But these are some of our beloved new patron members.
We'd like to thank Stephen Morrow of Bedford, Massachusetts, Cliff Evans of Bullard, Texas, and Jim Swacker of Somerville, Tennessee.
There you go, guys. Very, very simple. Become a member by signing up for a monthly subscription and choose the level of benefits you want to receive. There are 3 different levels. It can all be found over at lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. Very simple to get signed up, guys. Some of those benefits include t-shirts and stickers. You get access to the private Facebook group. It is a troll-free zone. Nothing but bikers helping and connecting and meeting inside that Facebook group, guys. You get access to live video broadcasts and chat with us, access to podcasts early, oftentimes months before they come out to the public. You get access to premium videos up on request and access to all those ride, meetup, and events. We really appreciate you considering becoming a member. It's easier than ever with our now monthly subscription plans. Very, very simple. It assures we can continue to head on into the future, guys, and well beyond 14 years is the plan. We couldn't have got here without our patron members. So there you go. Let's get into our main topic. And again, it's motorcycle suspension sag. You have anything up front, Lurch, before I get rolling on with this episode?
Well, you don't want your motorcycle to be saggy. That's all I can say. Much like your testicles, you don't want your motorcycle to be saggy.
Some things do get saggy, testicles being one of them. Non-fixable. No. You can fix your motorcycle from being saggy.
So for God's sake, adjust what you can.
I actually, the other day, we're going to be talking about the digital sag scale.
Mm-hmm.
I did try it with my nuts
to see how much sag you got.
I stuck the little plastic thing into the bottom of my sack and ran the string down to the ground, and I tried to adjust it. The only way I could adjust it is I walked outside and it was really cold and my nut shrunk up, so my sag went up. I was just saying, dude. All right,
getting old fun. You haven't sat on them yet, have you?
Not yet, dude. It's coming.
We're not that old yet.
It's coming. After a hot shower, maybe.
We're on the precipice of nut sitting.
No doubt. If you see me sit and squeal, you know what happened. Exactly. All right, like I said, guys, a lot of people don't check their motorcycle sag. Please, after this episode and watching the video on YouTube, go out and do it. We're going to make it easy for you and get a couple tools for you. So really what we want to do in this episode is guide the average rider. It can get really complicated if you dive into some different videos, and we did what we do best here and what you guys love us for, and that is taking things and accumulating information and then articulating in a way that the average everyday biker can go, okay, that's what I need to know. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know basically what it is, what it does, and how could I really easily adjust this and then get back to life, because life is busy. So that's what we've done here. It'll be a guide for the average rider on checking, setting suspension sag on various motorcycles. We're going to cover street, adventure, and dirt because it's all the same. So you don't really have to worry about it. It's going to cover any type of motorcycle that you're riding. And we are going to mention our Slacker sag tool and its benefits for solo use. So that's one of the things about checking sag is we're going to get into most tools require two people, and we'll break that down. But remember the name Slacker, and it's available in the Law Abiding Biker store. We will link to it in the show notes. The way you get the show notes anytime you want them, whatever podcast app you're using, we recommend using the actual free Law Abiding Biker app, which is over at lawabidingbiker.com/app. Android or iOS, you can download it and listen. You can leave voicemails. Everything's right there. It's a great app. And you can get the show notes there or other apps you're using. Or if you're online and you just want to use a web browser, it's lawabidingbiker.com/whatever episode number it is labeled. It's just lawabidingbiker.com/200 if it was episode 200. It's that easy to get the show notes and links and click through to things. All right. So again, the Slacker sag tool, which we'll be referencing. So let's start. Do you want to start here, Lurch? I'm going to talk a lot unless you want to take some sections here.
I'll take some sections, but okay. Go ahead. I'm adding a note at the moment.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So let's just start with what is suspension sag. Sag is the amount your motorcycle, excuse me, let me start over my voice there. Sag is the amount your motorcycle squats or settles when mounted with weight that includes rider, passenger, and luggage. Now, I already mentioned sag is so important because proper sag is about utilizing your suspension's design travel for both comfort and control. All right. It does absolutely change the geometry of your bike and how it handles if it's set improperly, or you may want it to handle a certain way. That can get really advanced. We're not going to do that here because you can go out and play with sag, especially dirt bikes, and really kind of change the geometry. And depending if you're riding motocross or whether you're riding adventure or in single track or whatever. Generally speaking, guys, 1/3 of the suspension's total travel should be set as your sag. All right. And basically, by having proper sag, it avoids bottoming out or topping out your suspension. So if you're going over a pothole, you don't want to bottom out. And if you go over a speed bump, you don't really want your suspension to top out, if that makes sense. Now, it helps.
Because if you top out, there's a good chance that wheel may come off the ground as well.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
And especially in dirt riding, which you expect. But you don't really want that to happen in street.
No.
Because you're not jumping. You want, to maintain wheels on the road. It helps with obstacles on dirt bikes, of course, logs or potholes on street bikes. It ensures traction and optimizes motorcycle handling. All right. So let's talk about sag. Mostly sag, we're going to be measuring the full suspension travel. I do want to mention, you'll hear the term static sag. Static sag is basically, remember when your bike, it's the weight of just the bike. So when your bike's sitting on the ground, it already is sagging a little bit because the weight of the bike is compressing the suspension a little bit. So you'll hear some guys talk about static sag. That's what it is. It really, we do need to discuss it because it does come into play. We'll explain how we're getting out of static sag. So that's what static sag is, just as your bike sits without you on it. So just remember that. I don't want to get too complicated yet.
And it's important because if you don't think about it, you may overlook the fact that there's already some weight of your bike on the suspension. And if you don't remove, which we'll get into, don't remove that static sag, then you're going to set another, third of your sag, and you'll have more sag than you should.
You'll be improperly set.
Yeah, you'll set it, and it'll be in addition to the static sag. So you need to remove that, if that makes sense. That's how
it will make more sense.
That's how I had to kind of wrap it up in my head, because we'll talk about how you get rid of it. But it is important to account for it, because if you don't, then you're going to have too much sag.
Yep. Very good. And don't worry if this is new to you. I know that probably doesn't make a lot of sense yet, but it will.
Stay with us. We're going to work through it.
Stay with us. Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's understand sag versus preload. You're going to hear those two terms in this episode, and you're going to hear it on the confusing videos online. I broke it down for you. Very simple. The sag and preload relationship, guys. Although they're related, sag is adjusted by changing and adjusting your preload. Okay? That's how you change sag. Sag is a number. It's where you want your bike to sit. And we change those sag numbers by adjusting, adding, or decreasing preload. Now, using preload for sag adjustment, like I said, add or remove preload to hit your sag target, basically. All right. Now, Harley is it's not different. Sag is sag, but Harley provides a basic table for adjusting sag. So you guys may be saying, oh, this doesn't matter. My Harley in the owner's manual tells me that based on my weight and my luggage, they have a table where you go over for your weight, and then they have the weight of your weight, and then it'll say how many clicks based on your weight or your passenger. I go to the left side of my bike and I click it 5 times or whatever it is. All right. They've really made it dumb sag, is what I call it. All right. So here's the deal. Those basic tables do adjust your sag, but these are general ranges, guys. It is not completely proper sag. A specific weight or setup mating, manual checking, and fine tuning, which we think. All I'll use the tables for, guys, it will get you, if you're using stock suspension, of course, that's where this comes into play. After you get aftermarket, then their table doesn't work anymore. It's for and basically what they did is Harley went through in the factory or during R&D, and they said, this suspension we're using, let's just test the different weights, and we'll do what we're about to tell you and measure all the sag. And then we'll just, based on weight, we'll just make up a table for riders. Like I said, they've tried to really dumb it down, which isn't always the best thing. All I would use the tables for is to get you close, because you might be guessing on your exact weight. You might be guessing on your luggage weight. You might be guessing on your passenger weight, especially your significant other, maybe not telling you their proper weight, because women do that.
Really?
Yeah. It's weird. So you might be most of them shy about 30 pounds off. I'm just, women are going to kill me right now.
Don't use your driver's license weight.
Yeah, don't. Exactly, dude. Do not use the driver's license.
She hasn't updated that since she was 18.
No, and even if they do update it, they're lying to every Department of Licensing employee. You know that. Sorry, women. We know that you're doing that. And that's fine. But so you want to get those basic weights, get it in a range, and then you want to go in and test sag, because you're going to find out that it's going to be different than what that chart says a little bit. All right. Or a lot.
And the newer bikes have adjustment rings on the right side.
Yes.
Well. Yeah. With the new suspension. So a little bit different. The older bikes, like yours and mine, the 14s and 15, it was all adjusted just on the right side. There was no adjustment on the
left side.
Left side. There's no adjustment on the right side. These newer ones, the suspension's better. There's still better stuff out there, which we'll talk about. But on the 24 newer, I think it's 24 newer. Is it any of the other ones? I think it's just 24
just
newer.
24 and 23 and a half and newer.
There you go. Yeah, they've got that new rear suspension, and you have to set your preload and sag on that right side, and then you can make fine adjustments on your left side.
And since Lurch brought that up, we do have a free video on that.
On that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, just since you brought it up.
Okay.
We do have a free video that's already out on that. If you have stock suspension, rear suspension on your 23 and a half or newer with the fairing redesigns, we have a very detailed free video over on the YouTube channel on how to adjust, because Lurch is right. There's some gross adjustments that you make on the right side, and then there's fine adjustments you can make on the left side. So I'm glad you brought it up. We do have the video over there, so that will help you.
I'm going to put the link to it in the show notes.
There you go. Perfect. So if you do end up, which you should after this episode, adjusting your sag, that will show you how to do it. And we have older videos on the YouTube channel. Just search for Harley rear suspension, and we have older videos just with the left side showing how to do that.
Yeah, I just put suspension into our website to search, and there's 13 pages of stuff to look at.
Yes.
So we've done quite a bit of suspension.
Yes, and if you want to narrow it down, type rear suspension or something like that.
Yeah, you can dial it down even more finely.
So let's talk about some tools and methods for measuring sag. All right. Now, the old school method is using a basic carpentry tape measure and using two people. Does it work? Yes, pretty much. It is not as precise. All right, guys. But with that said, if you're pinching pennies and you at least want to check your sag, you can do it with a tape measure. All right. We did it that way for a couple years before we found better tools and educated ourselves a little more.
I was surprised how much, I was surprised how inaccurate the tape measure can be.
Right.
You think it's a tape measure. I can get pretty close, but when you're talking millimeters, it's amazing what this digital tool or even some of the other tools, how much more accurate you can get. So you can't, like I said, you can do it, but there's better ways to do it.
Yep. Yeah. And I had some guy, I finally just blocked him, but trying to, it was not even what the video was about on YouTube. He's just a troll. And I'm like, use the tape measure, bro. I'm not telling you not to. If you're happy with that, but he was trying to argue it's just as accurate. It's not. There's a lot of reasons for that, especially placement, trying to place it in the exact locations and trying to get in the center of your axle. Plus, most carpentry tape measures, measure in 16ths, and we're just getting it'll be easier for you. But again, if you're pinching pennies and you don't want to get a tool, fine, use a tape measure. It'll be better than nothing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of our more modern tools. All right. This will come into play as we get more in depth here, but our Motion Pro. So if you want to step up from a tape measure, you can use a Motion Pro sliding sag scale. All right. We sell it in the law abiding biker store. Motion Pro, great quality tools. It's in millimeter scale. It still requires to measure sag two people. It involves a manual setup and it's going to take two people, and like I say, it's a manual setup. The nice thing about the Motion Pro slide scale is it has two sides, because you have much more sag numbers on like something by my Husqvarna TE300 dirt bike 2-stroke. It has like 110 millimeters of sag that you set. So you'll use the dirt bike side, and then the other side says mini bike, but it's really for more things like Harley that just have a lot less. You won't be able to use the big scale on one side, so you just flip it around. Again, if you go watch the YouTube video, it will show you that in use. All right. So that's great. The Motion Pro, two people, it's a great tool. It's in millimeters, going to be very accurate. Now, you want to move up to even more accuracy and much more ease of use, and the fact that you can use this all by yourself, which is a
Before you get into that, I just want to say one thing with these Sag scales. They're designed specifically for your bike, and so they have a cone-shaped axle pin that goes into your rear axle. That's how you get a lot more accurate. As you said earlier with the tape measure, you're trying to get to the center of your axle.
Yep.
This cone puts it right there, so much more accurate.
Very true. Mm-hmm. And we are going to get into that when we talk about actually measuring sag with both tools. We'll talk about the accuracy and what kind of how you do that. So that's a good point. Yes, that is why it's accurate. And that'll, again, this might be a little confusing, but we're trying to set up as organized as we build on this. All right. So back to the Slacker digital sag tool, highly accurate, designed for solo use, guys. It has a string. Again, I'm not going to get into it heavy because we're going to get into how these tools work and you'll realize why it's more accurate as we get into that. But Bluetooth remote and a smartphone app compatibility for easy measurements and tracking. Again, you'll understand why it's a superior tool here in a moment. All right. We do have additional Slacker tools. We have various kits available in the Law Abiding Biker store with accessories for easy attachment to different type of bikes. Again, it's going to make sense in a minute when we're using these tools. But the Slacker is the bee's knees. If you can swing it, we do have different options for you depending on your budget. They're not that crazy. It's going to last you the rest of your life. All your buddies are going to love you. You can check bikes. You can do it by yourself. Your adventure, your dirt. All your buddies will love you for having that tool. And you can run out to the shop, seriously, within a couple minutes, measure your sag and make sure your bike.
That's a good idea. If you get this and you've got several friends that ride, you make the investment, which is reasonable actually for this kit.
Yeah.
And then you just charge them, just bring me a 6-pack of beer, guys.
There you go.
That's cheap for them. And after a while, you're going to pay for your tool.
Yep.
And you're getting beer.
You're getting free beer. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win situation.
A win-win. All right. Yeah, true. So look into it, guys. You'll understand here when we talk about this, why it's so great. And we have been selling the heck out of them. As soon as we released the video, Lurch has been shipping those, and I know Oscar's been shipping them out of the store too. So we appreciate you guys. Please shop in our store. We'll get it out to you ASAP, guys. All right. You want this section or you want me to keep going? Okay.
So now we're going to get into the step-by-step, how to use the tools. We've already talked about the tape measure. So we'll move into these two particular tools, the Motion Pro Sag Scale and then the Slacker's digital Sag Scale. So with the Motion Pro, it is going to take two people. You're going to need, initially, you're going to need one person to grab the rear of your bike and lift it up until the suspension tops out. By doing that, you're removing all of the static sag, and you're basically getting that suspension to what I would call zero. It's got no pressure on it, right? No weight on it.
So good. And I'm just going to interject here so you can broaden. So let's stop with that. So what Lurch just said is he's going to lift the bike to remove the weight off the rear wheel.
Off the suspension, technically. Yeah.
Right. So explain that between street, Harley, which is really heavy, dirt bike adventure, and kind of some of the techniques you can use for that.
Okay. With a dirt bike, it's light and easy. One person can generally pick it up. But another thing you do is rock it onto the kickstand. And then that way you're not really necessarily, and same with an adventure bike, you're not really having to hold up all that weight. You're just rocking the bike onto its side until the suspension tops out, if you will.
To all the weights off the rear wheel.
All the weights off the rear wheel. Then you can take a measurement. And that's a little easier way to do it.
Yep, good. Kickstand one side, good. You can rock my KL over on the kickstand or my Husqvarna or a center stand, or, just a maintenance stand. Very easy to get my bike up on a maintenance stand. So Harley.
With a Harley,
1,000 pounds.
It's the easiest way is to use our Titan mini lift jack and put it underneath the rear of the frame underneath and then lift it up. That's easy peasy. The other way is to lift that bastard up, and it's a 1,000-pound bike. It's heavy. There's no doubt about it. And there's you don't
necessarily have to lift it up. I mean, best case scenario is our beloved Titan mini jack that you can get in the store. But you can also, what Lurch is talking about is lift up on the back underneath the trunk or the luggage rack or wherever. You're not probably going to lift the rear wheel off the ground, but you can get it so all the weight is off the suspension. The rear wheel must still maybe touching, but it's going to be damn close.
And there's a big difference between a dirt bike and an adventure bike. The static sag's quite a bit more, and the suspension travels quite a bit more on adventure bikes and especially dirt bikes. So with your street bike that's got on average 2 to 3 inches of travel, the specials have 2 inches of travel. Pretty much all the rest of the bikes have 3 inches of travel. There's not a whole lot of static sag on the bike, so you're only picking it up just a half inch or so. It's not a lot,
right?
But the reason you have to lift it up is to get that static sag, get that weight off of the vehicle. And now you're going to need to take your initial measurement. The cool thing about the sag scale, the Motion Pro sag scale, is it has a cone that you insert into the rear axle that keeps it right in the center of the axle, and it's got a slide adjuster on it, so you can slide it up and down to find what your zero is. So you find another point on the bike, whatever's pretty much straight up from the center of your axle. You can put a piece of tape with a mark on it, and you can just put a marker on your chrome somewhere and wipe it off later. You can find a bolt, whatever you decide. Lift that weight up, set that bad boy to zero. Now you've got your measurement to start from.
Yep, good, excellent. So we're going to build here, and we actually skipped something big, but I'm going to work it in here. It'll make sense. So very simple. To recap, step 1, get the weight off your rear wheel, take a measurement. Mm-hmm. Okay. From center of axle is usually good to something on your strut, make a mark, top suspension bolt, something that's going to change when you sit on the bike is the best way to say it, because you're going to need to take another measurement.
Yeah, your axle's a fixed point, and then something straight up is going to be the one that moves.
Right. So just pick something like that. Be as precise as you can, especially if you're using a tape measure. Like Lurt said, the cone on that is very nice, or the slacker is great because it's got the little plastic dealie with a hook that you can just hook it to. Again, if you want to watch the video after this, it would be great. I'll give you some visuals. So that's our first measurement. All right. So I'm just thinking this through, Lurch. Let's go ahead. I'll explain this in a minute after we take. So once you have that measurement, you're going to take a second measurement. And how do we do that?
Okay. And this will be the sag that's on the bike. So you're going to talk in how to set proper sag. That's apparently what
we're going to get into that in a second. Yeah. Well, and measurements and travel. Mm-hmm. But we just want to tell them how to take the 2 measurements. So it'll make more sense when I tell them what it should be.
So the second measurement is you now have the rider sit back on the bike, work the suspension up and down a couple times.
Jump up and down on the seat.
And then take their weight off of the floor. So get their feet up on the pegs. Ideally, you're going to have whatever luggage they normally carry, the riding gear that they normally wear. You want to get as accurate as possible.
Yep.
Now, your next measurement is going to be down from the zero that you set earlier, and that'll measure how many millimeters or inches of sag you have. So it's the measurement of that fixed point you use up above. How far did that move down the scale? How much sag is now in the suspension from zero, from no sag?
Perfect.
Okay.
Beautiful. That's your sag number. Mm-hmm. So to recap,
it's either on or you're going to have to adjust it.
Yes, we're going to get to that. So to recap there, Step 1, nobody on the bike, lift up on the bike, get all the weight off the rear wheel. Then take that measurement, set the bike down, put the rider on, jump up and down, feet on the floorboard, hands on the handlebars, whatever gear you normally carry, the gear you're wearing, and whether you're going to have a passenger or not. Take a second measurement. Done. That's your sag number. Once you get your sag number, we have to figure out if it's correct. So that's what we're going to move into now. So here's the deal. We'll make this really easy. All suspension has a certain amount of travel. Dirt bikes have a lot more than street bikes. Adventure bikes are in between street and dirt. So we're going to stick mostly to Harley, but it's the same. You have to find out what suspension you have, find out how much travel the manufacturer says it has. Once you have that number, the rest is just easy math. All right. So in the case of a Harley, it's really easy math, but we're going to make it,
especially the 3-inch suspension travel. Yeah.
So we're going to make it, we're going to walk you through how to do this, because something like my Husqvarna TE300 has a ton more. And so the numbers get a little bit more jumbled. So it's not always this easy depending on what bike you have. But like Lurt said, it's very easy with a Harley. So a Harley, normally your stock suspension and most aftermarket suspensions. For Harley, it's very common to have 3 inches of travel in your rear suspension, 3 inches total. All right. So once we have our number and where we know we have 3 inches, all right, we want to convert it to millimeters. Millimeters are more accurate. All right. And especially if we're using our Motion Pro slide sag scale or our slacker for these accurate readings, we want to convert it to millimeters. Very easy. 3 inches times 25.4, because there's 25.4 millimeters in an inch. So 3 times 25.4 equals 76.2. We're just going to call it, 76. It's close enough, guys. Now, what we want to do is we want to take and divide. Remember, we want a third of our total suspension travel number to be set as sag. That's our sag number. A third of your total suspension travel is set as your sag number. So we basically, from there, we know that there's 76 millimeters, basically 76.2 millimeters in 3 inches. We divide 76.2 millimeters divided by 3 equals 25 millimeters, roughly. It's close enough. We're just going to cap it and round it to 25 millimeters. All right. So that is what our sag number should be on Harley suspension that has 3 inches of travel. And you can imagine if you have 7 inches on a dirt bike, do the numbers, do the math. It's very simple. All right. So on our Harley, we're going to aim on this suspension that we're talking about for this scenario. We're going to aim for 25 millimeters of sag. So remember, we took all of the weight off the bike and then we set it down. We threw the rider on and gear and all that. And we took a second measurement. That should be 25 millimeters. If it's lower or higher than 25 millimeters, we need to adjust our sag. And so we're going to talk next about, okay, so you aren't at 25 millimeters and we need to adjust that. All right. That's what we're going to tell you. And that's where preload, we add or remove preload to make that adjustment. And we're going to break that down right here in a minute.
Hey, Bikeaholics, search for the new and exciting motorcycle products. Zero 3D has products you dream about for your bike. Check out their wide variety of innovative products for Harley Davidson and Honda Goldwing motorcycles. Zero 3D's got your back with chrome and black parts, lighting, and other comfort products. No modifying, cutting, grinding, or welding for an easy installation. That equals less time installing and more time riding. Zero 3D has a design team with over 40 years of experience with a passion for design and innovation. Zero and Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play system compatibility. They pride themselves on great customer service. Got a question? Get in touch with them via email at sales@zero3d.com or give them a call at 715-808-0027. Check out your local Harley or Honda dealership and ask for Zero or Gold Strike parts. A new leader has emerged, so check out Zero 3D's custom line of Gold Strike products for the all-new Honda Goldwings. Better yet, help support us and head over to the Law Abiding Biker store and check out our full line of Zero 3D products.
Soon coming, guys, the 23.5 and newer stuff for the fairing redesign. Ciro's working on it. I can't wait till it's out, and the lighting stuff as far as that goes, and should be coming out soon. All right, so let's dive in here. So we are at the point where we are outside of our 25 millimeters of sag. So what we do is we take the rider off the bike. All suspension adjusts differently. We've already told you we have a video on the stock suspension. There's a gross adjustment on the right side, a fine adjustment on the left side. I'm not going down that rabbit trail. You need to learn on the Law Abiding Biker YouTube channel for your year and make, or the website. You can search there. Find out how, if you have stock suspension, how to adjust that. All right. Once you learn how to add and remove preload, typically speaking, on a Harley, explain how normally the rings work. One way's adding, the other way is removing.
Depending on how the shock is mounted, but most likely your adjustment rings are on top. And you have two rings. You got a lock ring and you have adjustment ring. So the very top ring is the lock ring. You have to back that off because the two lock together to keep that from backing off and your preload from changing. So with your tool, loosen the lock ring and spin that thing up out of the way. And then you either need to add or remove preload based on your measurement. If you've got too much sag, then you need to add more preload. If you don't have enough sag, then you have to take it away. So the preload is
just explain the ring turning right now. I will. And then we'll get into that.
So now that you backed off your top ring, your lock ring, you've got a ring that's right up against the spring. Generally speaking, when you turn it to the right, you're going to compress the spring, which is going to add more preload.
It's going to raise your bike.
It's going to raise it up. If you turn it to the left, you're taking pressure off of the spring, and then you're going to
removing preload.
Yeah,
right.
And then
the bike's going to sag more.
Yeah, sag more.
Perfect. Thank you for working that through that. I have it in my mind. I'm trying to keep this so it's not confusing.
Right. Yeah.
Very good.
We try to paint a picture.
Yes.
In verbal form.
So that is how you add or remove preload. For you guys pre-24, 23 and a half, it's most likely just under your left saddlebag. It's just a knob, and you're going to click it to add, and you're going to unclick or click it the other way.
And if I recall right, it's left and right again, left or
right.
move and right to add.
Probably. But
most
again,
likely.
We're just giving you basics.
Yeah.
It's somewhere to start. All right. If you do it wrong, then you know you went the wrong way. You'll have to go the other way. Figure it out. So once you learn how to add and remove preload, all right, so let's say this and make sure that we're doing this right.
Okay.
So let's just say that we sit on the bike, we have our rider on, and we're supposed to be at 25 millimeters of sag, and we are at 27. Means we're sagging too much. Lurch is familiar with that. Mm-hmm. Wife tells him that every time he gets in bed. You've got way too much sag. All right. So we need to bring the bike up. It's dipping. It's squatting too much when you're on it. So if you remember, to bring the bike up, we want to add preload to the suspension. So we're going to start turning, and we're going to bring the bike up.
Going to compress the spring.
Right. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. I like not to say that because it doesn't matter. I get it.
It does, but yeah.
Okay.
So some people might understand that versus
I think I'm glad you said it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. As long as you add preload, as long as you turn it the way that brings the back of your bike up. That's all you really need to know to get your number in range. Yes, it is compressing the spring, thus bringing the bike up. So we add preload, we bring the back of the bike up, and we want to get it in that 24. But to do that, you're going to have to do this back and forth because now you want to lift the bike up, take your measurement, get the wheel off the ground, whatever, get your rider on, bounce up and down, take your measurement. Okay, now you brought it to 26. All right, back off the bike, add some more preload. Oh, you went too far. So you can see that's why this digital slacker tool is going to be really handy for you because you can do it by yourself. You're going to have somebody else there to help you with this. Because one guy's got to sit on the bike, one guy's got to take the measurement. All right, now, so we get in 25. So let's just say now we adjusted it. We're starting fresh. And we took that first measurement, and we are at 22 millimeters. We only read 22, and we want to bring it to 25. Our bike is sitting too high. It does not sag enough. It is not as old as Lurch. It's not sagging enough. All right. So we need to take away preload. Uncompress the spring is what you're doing.
Yep. Turn it to the left, generally speaking.
Depending
on how the shock's mounted.
So we want to take away preload, and we want to allow the bike to sag to 23, 24, 25.
Bingo.
There you go. So that's all you're doing, guys. I hope that really made it simple. We've got more to dive into.
And let me just say that the preload that you add by turning the rings or take away is not necessarily equal to the sag you're trying to get. You may have to put more and turns into that thing than you think to bring it up, or you have to take a bunch more out to bring it down. So it's not a equal, measurement on the left to measurement of the preload. So if you're increasing preload and you think, well, I just need a millimeter. So you add a millimeter more of preload, it's not going to equate to a millimeter once you get the rider on, is all I'm saying. You might find that you have to turn it in or out much more than you realize to
good point.
Get that sag where you need it.
Good point.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does. Yep. No, totally. I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay. So let's go in a little bit deeper. And then we're going to talk about the slacker a little bit more,
okay,
and kind of why it's so great. And we'll really break that down. But here, I want to say this. All right. So this doesn't necessarily, you're going to get more into this. It could happen on your street, but this becomes more apparent when it does matter with Harley. So you need to be aware of this. It could happen to you, but it definitely is dirt and street, or dirt and adventure and things like that, where we have much more different springs and suspensions. But definitely could happen to you on Harley. So let's just say that you take your measurement and you sit on the bike and the measurement's taken and you're sitting at 28 millimeters, just as a number. Okay. So you should already know, what does that mean? Quiz. Don't say it. Give the audience a second. We're supposed to be at 25. We put our rider on the bike. Your measurement is 28. I'll give you a minute to think about this. Okay. Hopefully you came up with the answer. The answer is you're sagging too much. So because you're sagging too much, you need to do what? Add preload. Good job. You got it. If you didn't,
I'm so
shame on you. I'm proud of you, listener.
Gold star.
I'm so proud of you out there running, coming up with the answers. Hopefully you did it out loud. Hopefully your neighbors are staring at you. Anyways, we need to add preload. So we go ahead and we go to our suspension and we crank on it and crank on it and crank on it until we can't add anymore. We just simply, we're out of the rings at the top. And we go back over to the bike and we measure and we're at 27. All right, guys, you can't add any more preload. You're not at 25. You're still sagging way too much. That means that suspension is wrong for you. It means that it's too soft of suspension for your weight. You're never going to be able to get it in your sag range. Thus, you need to buy appropriate springs and appropriate suspension for your weight so that you have parameters to adjust it for your weight, your passenger, your luggage. It could be a lot of things why it's too soft for you. All right. Clean the slate. We take our measurement, our sag measurement, and we're supposed to be at 25 and we're sitting at 22. All right. Give you a minute. What does that mean? Oh, we're so proud of you. You got the right answer. That means that you need to take away preload. You need to decrease preload because you're not sagging enough. So we walk around to our adjustment rings and we take away preload until the ring won't let us turn anymore. And we've taken away as much preload as we can. And we take our measurement and we're at 26. We still got more to go, but you can't adjust anymore. That means your suspension, your spring is too stiff. Your weight and your luggage and your passenger is not going to allow you to sag enough. You literally can't adjust it anymore. So you need to buy appropriate suspension that's based on your weight, your luggage, your passenger, that's going to allow you to have adjustments within that range. So that can happen. My KLR was that way. I had to get a different spring based on my weight because I couldn't get it in parameters. So
me as well.
Yeah, that's right. We all got springs for the KLRs. So just be aware of that. So it's something to take into account when you're purchasing suspension, because just because they say, you might want to check the weight rating and what that suspension is for. And if you're a heavier guy or you're going to have 2 passengers plus luggage, you might need a stiffer suspension model. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. I want to, now we're going to break down a little bit more about the Motion Pro slide sag scale, and most importantly, the slacker and why you can do it by yourself.
Ride longer and treat your ass with some respect already. Get hooked up with a premium butt buffer seat cushion. This company of bikers developed a super thin hospital-grade seat cushion made of solid and elastic materials, and it's unlike gel pads that'll leak if punctured. The butt buffer, designed not to slide around your seat, fits all motorcycles, installs in seconds, easily cleans, and helps to dampen those damn vibrations.
Oh, but I love vibrations
Who
on my
doesn't?
ass.
With plenty of models to choose from, they assure you'll have a comfortable ass when riding. Head on over to Law Abiding Biker Store and check out our full line of butt buffer seat cushions.
Not even a crack of a smile.
I don't know what that
Because I was just trying to disturb you.
Okay. It was disturbing.
It was disturbing. It's probably more disturbing to the audience who's listening on their car stereo or headphones right now.
You probably just fried their stereo.
Let me do it again for you.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so let's why don't you break down, Lurch, the Slacker digital sag scale tool, why it's so great, kind of how it works, some of the alterations we made for Harley. Take it away.
Well, the best thing about this is you can do it by yourself. You don't need a second person to do it. And sometimes you just don't have that second person there.
Right. You learned that with sex. That's why you whack off so much.
Sometimes you just really don't want a second person there. So if you're, working in a shop and, you're a girl dad like you are, and it's hard to keep them squirrels focused on anything anyways, so you may not have a buddy here to help you out, or you're just out on the trail riding by yourself and you want to check it, on your dirt bike or whatever. This tool just requires you yourself. So one of the cool things about it is, when you talk about the tape measure or the Motion Pro sag scale, you're dealing with a measuring device that uses graduated marks on a tape measure or scale. This thing does it all internal. It's just a string, and so it doesn't really. We learned that it doesn't matter if it's mounted upside down or the right side up, but you attach it to your bike the same way you would using a tape measure sag scale. The Slacker digital scale has a magnet on it, and it is designed to fix to your rear axle bolt. And on most bikes, that works just fine.
Via a magnet.
It goes clunk, right? I mean, it's a strong magnet. It's meant to fit around your axle nut. It's sweet. Clicks right on. And then you have a string. That's the measuring device. It goes up and down and then does the measurements internal inside the box. You run the string that has a hook on the end of it up to a point on your bike. Whether that's something, if you've got something you can click around, that's great. Otherwise, it comes with little plastic tabs that you can get that you stick on, and then you can put that hook to it. So generally speaking, on most bikes where you have clear access to the rear axle bolt, you just stick it on and then run the string up to a fixed point on the fender, the strut, whatever. What we found with the touring bikes is, because you've got especially if you got dual exhaust, but even if you don't have dual exhaust on, if you've moved to just a single exhaust, you still have the saddlebag supports. So there's stuff that's in the way. But we found that you can just flip that bad boy around, and you can affix the hook to the axle nut, and then you can find a place up on the bike to attach the box to. And on yours, I believe it was the 4-point mounting hardware.
Yeah, 4-point docking hardware piece.
Which is pretty much straight up from the axle, so it worked out really well and attached that way. So
try to get straight up and down as you can. Yeah.
As straight up and down as you can, unless the model of bike tells you to do it otherwise. But generally speaking, on your Harleys, you're straight up and down.
Yep.
So what it does is, like I said, just takes measurements. So now you've got it attached to your bike, whether you have the box on the rear axle nut and the string and hooked up on the fender strut somewhere, or you have it turned around, doesn't matter. But you zero out the slacker, and then you can pick up your rear suspension, and it takes a measurement, right?
Do you want to talk about, before you do that, about why you can do it with one person and remote? Set that up first before we take the measurements, and why it's so important.
Okay. So one, it's one person for several reasons. Obviously, you're connecting a tool to the rear axle and to your bike, whether it's somewhere on the fender strut or whatever. So you've eliminated the need of having somebody there to hold that scale or that tape measure. But in addition to that, It also, you can get a remote for it, or you can Bluetooth it to a phone app. And so you're able to, if you put your phone up on your handlebars, we would use the biker gripper cell phone mount to put that up there. Or you use the remote, which has a Velcro that you can Velcro it to your handlebar. You can see it yourself. So it requires no other person because you can do all this by yourself.
Yep. And to piggyback on that a little bit before we get on measuring. So you can get it in the kit. We sell the Bluetooth remote. It has a little screen on it. It has Velcro on it. You can Velcro it to your bars. You can throw it in a biker grip or whatever up there on your handlebars. And that's so you can see the measurement. It's a very simple device, very easy to pair. Watch our video. We show you how to pair that. That's a very easy way to do it. And it's just going to show you the measurements. All right. Up on your handlebars. Again, why you can do this with one person. You don't have to have somebody back there measuring and tell you what it says. Now there's a smartphone app that Slacker makes. I will tell you that it's free at first. After that, I think after a month or so, it costs $1 a month. So $12 a year. The app gives you a bit more capability. We show you on the video about that app, but basically depends how much you're doing. If you're just doing your Harley, then maybe the Bluetooth remote is the way I would go. But if you're doing things like Oscar and I, where you're dirt riding trails and track, we changed the geometry. And if you're riding single track rather than, wide open, you can make for that day adjustments to your bike for that type of riding. And the app allows you to store, you can make notes. You can store your sag measurements. You can make notes on what adjustments and how many clicks you turn for single track versus, whoops and things like that you're riding a lot more. Suspension can get very complicated. And so, it might be more worth it to pay for the app if you're doing adventure and you are changing suspension often and you really want to track like, oh, I really like that today. You can go back and go, what were those measurements? Okay, I'm going to tag that as single track riding, and I'm going to tag this as track riding and things like that. So it allows a lot more customization. You can name your suspension, all that. But the app's pretty robust, and you already have your smartphone. But if you're not going to get that complicated, my personal opinion is the app's not really necessary if you're just doing your Harley and you're really not going to be changing suspension, and you're just going to check it every now and then, or your buddy's bikes, then probably just grab the Bluetooth remote. We do talk about the different kits. You can get one full kit, ultra kit. Lurch is going to look in the Law Abiding Biker store. And by the way, if you go over to the Law Abiding Biker store and find our Slacker sag, digital sag scales, at the bottom of each listing is our video on how to use it free for you guys. So
yeah, there are some different kits, and then you can buy stuff a la carte if you choose to. But there's the Ultimate Tuning Kit. That's the big boy. That's got everything in it. So it comes with a ballistic nylon case, and it's not just a generic case. It's actually designed for the individual parts to fit into it. So you get the case, you get the digital Slacker measuring tool, you get the remote, you get the cell phone, their cell phone bar mount if you want, and then the little adhesive tabs to hook the hook to. So that is the
plus the actual kit. You didn't talk about the other thing it comes with, I think, without looking, is the actual clamp. If you don't want to put the sticky tabs, it has the clamp with the hook.
Yeah, I believe that comes with all of them. Let me check.
We haven't talked about it at all, so she probably mentioned that.
Yeah, it's a versus a sticky mount. It's a clamp that you can clamp onto your rear fender. It's more probably for dirt bikes than anything. Mm-hmm. We found it didn't work real well with the street bikes.
Yep.
Then they have we have the premium tuning kit, which saves you a couple bucks. Basically, you're just getting rid of the nylon case. So that is if you're money conscious, you want to save like $20. That's the way to do it. The premium's the way to go, in my opinion, because then you just put it on the case. You got it stored up. Then we have the starter kit, which is just the Slacker digital measuring tool and the remote. And then you can buy all the parts, a la carte. A la mode's ice cream.
Yeah, right. It's a spa here, too.
We're getting close.
It's actually where I get massages here sometimes, too. Yeah,
we're getting close to lunchtime, so I must be thinking about food. But
a lot of different options.
Yes, there are. It's very customizable. But again, if it was me and I wasn't too worried about the money, because between the kits, you're talking $20, $40, as you go up. So ultimate kits, way to go. You got everything put in this nice pouch.
Yep. So now that they know all about the Slacker, why don't you explain to them how easy it is to measure by yourself? Now, it's really the same techniques, but there's a few little things.
Yeah, so now you've got the Slacker attached to your bike, and you have your remote paired to it and turned on and up on the handlebar so you can see it. You now have to set the Slacker digital sag tool to 0, if you will. So you need to lift the back of your bike up, and you got to hold it, let it settle, and then it'll say 0. When it says 0, then you can let the bike down and settle. You then get on the bike. So now it's got that static measurement basically stored in it, if you will, in simple terms. Now you as the rider with all your gear and whatever you're going to wear and carry, get on, bounce the bike up and down, and take your feet off the floor and put your hands on, get in a riding position that you'd normally be in, and then it'll give you your sag scale or your sag adjustment.
Which is right there on your handlebars via the app or their Bluetooth remote.
Yeah, and its point, it'll be like 25.4. It's insanely accurate.
Yep.
So then you can either remove or add preload as needed to get your bike into the proper sag range.
Yep.
That's simple.
It is. And that's how simple it is, guys. And so a couple things that are really important here, and a couple pro tips that we're going to give you. So here's the deal. Maybe most of the time you ride with yourself and whatever gear and things like that. You want to set your sag, all right, for you. That's most of the riding. Now, oftentimes, you guys will put a passenger on, all right? Technically speaking, for proper geometry of your bike and the way you should do it is you just changed your sag drastically by putting a passenger on or storing up because you're going on a 10-day cross-country trip and you just put 60, 70 pounds of gear in your trunk and your saddlebags. Okay. It's super important. That's when you should be checking your sag, and the Slacker makes it so easy. So if you're going to have a passenger, then you should reset your sag. And here's the pro tip. So with the Slacker, pretty easy to check your sag by yourself. You can put your passenger on there, set it for yourself, right? And so make a note. You could do it in the Slacker app, or you can just do it in a note on your iPhone or whatever. Call it suspension settings. And so what I would do is, using the Slacker, I would take a measurement and set the sag for me, all right, and my gear. And then what I do is I grab my passenger and I would throw my passenger on there, and I would take sag and adjust it properly. What I would do is note, if my suspension has rings over on the right side, I would keep a calculated in my mind, okay, by myself, the ring's here. When I put a passenger on, I turned it 14 times to get it in sag range. I turned 14 full rotations. All right. Then I would make a note of that. And then from then on, that's the pro tip, is I know, okay, I'm not going to have a passenger for a while. I'm backing off 14 turns. Oh, that same passenger's back on, and we're going to go on a long ride. Bam. I just turn it 14 times. And then theoretically, every once in a while, I'd still throw the Slacker on there just to make sure that those recommendations, notes you've made are correct, because suspension, can change or wear a little bit. So I would make sure that you're still every now and then with the Slacker. And then you could even do a third measurement. Say, oh, me and my wife do go on long cross-country trips. After you get all your luggage and shit on there, throw her on there, him, and put yourself, and make a third one go. And this measurement's for long distance touring with a passenger. This is for long distance touring without a passenger. You guys get it? And you can make notes, and that way you can just turn your suspension really quick, and then just every once in a while confirm that those settings are still correct with the sag. Or you could just use the Slacker every time. You don't have to keep notes. You could just do it that way. But that's a pro tip and an easy way to adjust your suspension. And how many, I want to ask you guys right now. All right, stop.
Hammer time.
Stop. Turn the mower off. Stop running. Okay, pull over. I need you to ask yourself this question. Next time you're with all your biker friends, you're sitting around drinking some beer, I want you to ask how many of those friends, when they put a passenger on or take a passenger off, that they reset their sag to proper sag measurements. I think you would fall over backwards on your chair if any of them answered. They're all going to answer, huh?
Okay.
What's that? Why do I need to change this? It's amazing, especially within the Harley community. You get more in adventure and dirt, everybody knows this stuff. But my God, Harley, Indian riders, street riders in general. Yeah, just do not know much about this and how important it is, which Lurch is going to tell you how important this is.
Yeah, a little story to kind of hit home on why you should be adjusting this stuff. So a friend of ours had a street glide, and he rode by himself quite a bit, but his wife rode with him a fair amount of time as well. And we were going out for a group ride one day, and the wife was able to come with him, so she hopped on. And as he pulled out of his driveway, he had, typical driveway, got a little bump there. His bike bottomed out. Looking back on it, it's pretty obvious what he should have done, but he was in a bit of a hurry, didn't think much of it, and just took off. And the ride that we were on takes you through an area between Bickleton and Goldendale, Washington, that is very curvy, and there's some descents and hills to go through. It's a lot of fun. We usually do it in the fall. We call it the Fall Colors Ride. This rider is used to knowing how far he can lean his bike over when he's by himself. So these are some tight corners. There's 10, 15 mile an hour corners. And what happened was he went through a corner, and he said, I wasn't leaning that hard. I've leaned much harder before. But he got in, not only did he get into his floorboards, but he ended up getting into his frame. And, and the floorboards are designed to move. That's when you know that you're right on the edge there, and you probably shouldn't push it a whole lot further. Because if you do, you could have what happened to him is your frame will hit, and now you have no more give. Once a frame hits, if you hit it hard enough, you're going to lose traction to the rear wheel, and that's what he did. And so he and the wife low-sided and went down. They slid for a while. Luckily, they were both fine. I mean, they had some definite road rash and everything. The bike had some road rash, but thank God, no major injuries. And he said, looking back on it, I should have paid attention when my bike bottomed out going out of the driveway. It doesn't normally do that. It's because he had more weight and didn't adjust his preload. So just an example of what can happen to you, if you ignore that or you don't do it. So if you add weight, 1, make sure your preload's adjusted properly. 2, if you add weight, you need to add more preload so that your bike is in the right sag, because something like this could happen to you.
Yep. That's just one story, guys. It is very important. Now, here's the biggest pro tip of the episode and what we're going to go out on. Pro tip, highly recommended. It'll make your life easier. Your ass is going to thank you. Your body's going to thank you. Your brain's going to thank you. It is absolutely amazing. Now, coming off just talking about, all right, so I have a passenger and now I don't have a passenger, and now I'm cross country by myself and cross country, and we're adjusting rings and suspension and all that every time. I do not have to do that. And many other riders do not have to do that.
Well, how's that?
Well, it is, it's very simple, actually. That is because I am running my absolutely beloved Wilbers Nevomat LDC front and rear suspension kit. I rave about it if you've been following for any amount of time. I have tested many suspensions over the years. At this time, I absolutely tell you, by far, Wilbers Nevomat LDC suspension is the best for a touring application, and I dare say even other street applications, but I definitely cannot recommend it enough. We do sell other suspensions in the Law Abiding Biker store. They can be great too and are great. What we always say is, with suspension, it definitely matters. What you spend, you will get back. All right. So the more expensive the suspension for the most part, the better it is. And this absolutely matches that theory on that, guys. It is not, I get it. It's not the cheapest suspension, but when you get it, there's very few things I buy where I like, that was worth every damn penny. I can say that about very few things in life. This is one of them. And like many people, we get our bike. What do we want to do? We want to get intakes and exhaust and all that. And that is great stuff, guys. But I will tell you, the first thing when I got my new 24 was like, first decision I made is what suspension. And of course, it was a easy pick, and it was Wilbers. Now, let me tell you a little bit more. We carry Wilbers in the Law Abiding Biker store. We'll tell you a little bit more about that. But here's one of the biggest things I told you about setting it. They have it's German voodoo magic shit, guys. I'm not kidding. It's German made. It is voodoo magic shit. Nobody else is doing it. They have something going on there. We've been in contact with them. We understand it enough to be dangerous. I just know that it works. Whatever voodoo they're doing, I like the voodoo. I'm going to get a voodoo doll. Anyways, the beautiful part is you do not have, so once you install Wilbers, and by the way, in the store, you can install it. It is super easy. Our detailed video on our product listing page in our store for Wilbers Nevomat LDC suspension will show you how easy it is to install both the front and rear. Initially, you set your sag. You can use the slacker tool for that. That's what we did. You set your sag. Once you set your sag,
for you as the rider, you're done. So what I mean by that is, so your passenger jumps on, done. Don't need to do anything. You put luggage on, done. Don't need to do anything. You put your rider, passenger, long distance trips, done. Don't need to do anything. That is because that voodoo magic shit that I'm talking about, it self levels. You ride for like 1,000 feet. And it self levels, self sets its sag based on the new weight. Now you take that off, same thing, done. You go ride 1,000 feet, readjust to proper sag for the rider. And let me just say a little bit further. I know Lurch wants to jump in. It is like riding a sofa down the road, and not bad. You think of a sofa and then you might get a floaty feeling. You do not get a floaty feeling. Watch the videos, the reviews on the product listing page. I'm going over speed bumps. I'm going through potholes. I tested that stuff, the suspension. I mean, I couldn't have tested it any more. I rode the thing like a dirt bike. It just amazed me at every level, and still to this day amazes me. Our customers that buy it from us, rave reviews. They come back to us like, worth every penny, like it, unbelievable. And I will let Lurch talk a little bit more about the buying process and in our store and how custom it is. We are bikers helping bikers. We will take care of you. We care about every customer. Talk about it, Lurch, and whatever you want to talk about the buying process and how awesome and how quick. And yeah. So the Nevomat system requires 2 shocks, so it's not available for every make and model of Harley-Davidson. We have it for the touring models back to 2006 on our website. By all means, if you're curious, contact us. I'll look to see if we can get you an application for your bike. But generally speaking, it's going to be the touring bikes. And it is, when he talks about German voodoo magic shit, to put it in simple terms, you have 2 shocks on the rear of your bike. One of them on the right, I can't remember if it's the right or left side, but one of them is a standard shock you're used to seeing. It's got the spring, it's got the rings, the lock rings and adjustment rings, so you can set your sag. The other one, that's where all the magic happens. It is a combination of a hydraulic and a mechanical shock. So once you've set your sag level for your rider, it knows where it's at, essentially. And as you add weight to it, it either needs to add or remove fluid into the reservoir. So it uses its own mechanical. As the shock goes up and down, it either pumps or removes that fluid, and that's what brings you back to the proper sag rate. So once you set it for the rider, you're done. It's just within a few, well, you said, I think it's about 1,000 feet or so, it levels back out. It's amazing. But it is set up for you, meaning we need to know your bike.
So when they order it, what's going to happen?
When they order it, and it says this in the listings, but just to reiterate for those listening, we'll contact you. So you purchase, we see in the store that you've made a purchase, we send you an email, and we're going to ask you for your T-shirt size because Wilbers USA is going to send you a T-shirt. And then we're going to need to know your year and make of your Harley because the front spring rate's going to be different for a Road Glide than it is a Street Glide, etc. We need to know your weight, including your gear, your luggage weight, your passenger's weight, and the percentage of time you ride with a passenger. And what they will do is make sure that you get suspension that can handle those parameters.
What we talked about earlier, remember? You add all your preload or take away and you can't get within your number. That's why this is custom suspension. You're not going to get it and it's not going to be right. They're going to base it on those parameters. It is custom for you.
Yeah, the spring rate will be customized for you. So it is important that we get all that stuff. But again, you purchase, we send you an email. If it goes to your junk mail, I'll probably send you another one. If I don't hear from you in a few days, I'm calling you. So we will get a hold of you. We've had a couple customers that said, sorry, I don't check that email that often that they used to purchase with. So we will harass you until we get a hold of you and get your information. Wilbers USA is awesome to deal with. A couple of guys over there, Mike and Brian, are good, solid dudes that know suspension. And they're pretty quick. I mean, they've been turning around in a couple of days. And so what we tell customers is you should get your suspension in 7 to 10 days. Actually, probably going to get it sooner, but that's just to make sure that we get it in a time that we expect to get it. But man, they've been turning around, and as long as I got it in stock there, because this stuff is coming over from Wilbers, Germany, but they seem to have a pretty good stock, and we so far haven't had to have anybody wait for very long at all on this suspension. So they will ship it. Wilbers will ship it directly to you, and it'll have everything you need to do the front and rear suspension on your bike, and you are going to love it.
Yep. And with that said, guys, no. I know I gawk about it. Wilbers has never paid me a dime. They don't sponsor me. They never ask me to say any. It's in our store. I sell it in our store because after I used it, they did initially get a hold of us and ask me to test it. And I was wowed. And I was like, we're bringing that to the store. And so everything I say, and in the Law Abiding Biker store, that's why we appreciate you getting it from us. We actually used it. We do use it. We test it. We're telling you what we think of it. And that's based on me testing a lot of different suspensions. All right.
And I have access. I should be getting a new bike unless something weird happens next spring. And I have access to all kinds of suspension. I've had Progressive. It's good, for the price. I've ridden your Oleans, very good. Legends is good too. And we carry all those, but I have access to all those. I'm choosing Wilbers for that new bike.
Yep.
It's the bee's knees.
And we get it. It is expensive, but it's right in there close to my Oleans setup that I had. And let me tell you, Oleans, which one did I have? This black line.
You had the Nix 22 front cartridges, and then you had the S36 black line rear shocks.
So right up there within hundreds of dollars of each other. So it was awesome suspension too, guys. Don't get me wrong. I just think for a touring application, Wilbers snuffs it out a little bit, and especially because of I don't have to adjust for passengers and weight. Just set it originally, and I just know it's handling business. The amazing engineering and valving that they did in that, I can only imagine. It just works, and it works well.
And it's only a 13-inch rear suspension. That's all it comes in. There's not a 12-inch rear suspension. That's because they need that extra room to give you the ride that you need and the performance that you need. So some of the shorter riders are concerned that it'll raise their seat height. And what Brian at Wilbers USA told me, he goes, it's negligible. Most riders won't even feel it. Yep. We're talking, and this is just based on math, not actually once you get on and set your sag, but just the math, you might be a third of an inch at the most. It's almost negligible, but it also puts your bike in a much better position. You're getting that rear up a little bit and you're leveling it out, and it's going to handle better. I switched to 13-inch rear suspension. I bought some 12-inch, and then after learning about the king of the baggers on these STs coming out 13-inch, it really opened my eyes to getting that bike in the proper angles. And so I ditched my 12-inch, put the 13 in. Again, I mean, I'm taller, but I didn't notice any difference in seat height, but I noticed a lot in cornering.
Yep. Yeah. I always say, for sure. For the best rideability, the 13 is the way to go, guys. Now, with that said, again, I understand not everybody, can afford top end Oleans or Wilbers. We get it. But I would say if you can swing it, wait to buy your intake and exhaust and all that stuff. Get set up with your suspension first, especially if you're going to long distance tour. Just, you can't make a better mod to your bike.
And we have shop pay available in the LAB Bike and Biker store. You can make 4 equal payments, no interest. If you need to go farther out, there is an option there where you have to pay some interest, but we do have options for you too if you can't afford that all at once and need to spread it out a little bit over some different paychecks.
Very glad you brought that up. And but at any rate, obviously you can, there's Progressive, there's Legends. There's still any suspension besides stock. Any of the suspensions we carry is going to make a big improvement to your bike. If you want the biggest improvement for the touring application, then certainly, and even other street applications, Harley, Indian, things like that. Do we have it for Indian, Wilbers?
I'll have to look.
Do we have a listing?
We don't have a listing, and I don't believe there's very many applications because, again, you're looking at single suspension on those bikes.
Oh, that's right.
The single rear shock, the Fox shock.
That's right. Anyways, not for this episode. With that said, we hope that you learned a lot, guys. We do want to take a quick moment and thank these folks. We would love to have you as a patron member. We want to get to know you better. We want to get you benefits and all that kind of stuff. But, if the only way you want to support us is through a flat donation, we never balk at a flat donation.
We'd like to thank Emmett Bryant of Valdosta, Georgia, Joseph Malachy, and Jimmy Logston of Bedford, Kentucky.
lawabidingbiker.com/donate. That's /donate. Or you can go to the homepage, lawabidingbiker.com. There's a large donate button. Anyways, we really appreciate your flat donations and in the form of tips in the store. That's amazing. Humbled by that. You buy something and you leave us a tip. Unbelievable. We will take care of you. And it helps put a little fuel in the Law Abiding Biker gas tank.
To keep this thing running on down the road.
There you go, guys. A lot of information there. Hope it was informational. Hope it was entertaining.
Hopefully it was infotaining.
There you go, guys. Going old school. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Get out there. If you're feeling a little saggy or you're not feeling saggy enough, then you need to adjust your sag. The way we do that is by adding or taking away preload. There you go, guys. Hopefully we made that was setting your sag for dummies. Because when I went through all this, I've learned a lot of this over the years, but God, muddling through the horrible videos and explanations. And the unfortunate thing is, a lot of times it's not their fault, but you have companies and suspension companies trying to sell you and explain their suspension to you and explain sag. And they're engineers and they're so smart and that's all they deal with. Not everybody can teach. You can be the smartest person in the world, but you don't know how to break it down. We've all seen that, whether it's high school or college. There's just some people that can't teach. They're shitty teachers. And that's what you find a lot when you're searching around trying to figure all this stuff out. So hopefully this will be your one stop. And again, I strongly encourage you, after listening to this episode, go to the show notes, or better yet, go over to the YouTube channel or whatever, find the video and watch it. And you can go to the Slackers in the online store. That video is embedded there. Over at our Wilbers, how to install it, everything. You'll learn a lot just by going to the product listings, researching a little bit, and watching the videos that are there for you guys. And as always, we really do. We're trying to come out with very useful, meaningful content for you guys, unlike a lot of other crap online. We're trying to help the biker community after 14 years as much as we can. And so hopefully we're hoping, obviously by releasing very valuable, meaningful content like this, that you'll say, that was really useful. And I need this for my motorcycle, or I need a Slacker, or I need Wilbers, or I need other products. I need a biker gripper. That you will remember that and come back and shop in the Law Abiding Biker store saying, I'm going to support them. We have the same prices as anybody else, and we have the same fast shipping as anybody else. That's just normal these days. Amazon doesn't ship any faster than us, guys, even Prime. Prime isn't even guaranteed 2 days now, and they say that right on there. So everybody, you guys know now, we can all get it to you very, very quickly.
Lickety split.
Lurch, as soon as an order comes up, even if he's sleeping, he jumps out of bed and he fulfills it, and then he goes back to bed. I put him a bed down at the Law Abiding Biker store. He has to sleep down there now. Number one, so that he can jump up and ship packages as quick as possible. But number two, while he's there, I'm in bed with his old lady. Oh! Had to go out with that, guys. But thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Love y'all. His old lady said he's tired of his saggy balls and mine are still very firm. Love you, Lurch.